This is the Rebel Room, a Las Vegas Sun podcast. I'm Ray Brewer alongside Mike Grimala, talking all things UNLV. Usually, Mike, at this juncture of the fall, right? The leaves are starting to fall. We wear jackets at night. We're ready for basketball. Football is 1 and whatever or 0 and whatever, and is this year 1 or 2 of a rebuild, or are we going to do a coaching search? And, let's just talk all UNLV basketball all the time. Is this when the Rebels get to the tournament? However, this year the narrative's a little different. UNLV football, with new coach Barry Odom in year 1, has a 5-1 record. Just won the Cannon against UNR. Big win for some of us. And all systems go. Saturday, they play Colorado State. You get a win against the Rams. You're bowl eligible in October before you go trick-or-treating, which is rare. UNLV an 8-point favorite. Somehow they're winning these games. I don't know how, Michael. Jaden Maeve, a freshman quarterback.
Not even close.
Yeah, blowing them out. Blowout city.
Yeah, so it's, who would have thought 5-1 at this point in the season? Could be 6-1 at this time next week. As you said, having a bowl, like that was the big goal for the season from the outside was, can this team get to a bowl? Having that wrapped up with 5 weeks to play would be, then where do you go from there? Like that would be my question. Like we still haven't seen them tested by the top teams in the Mountain West. The schedule has sort of helped them out. They've played a bunch of winnable games, obviously, but if you're 6-1, you've got to be considered a contender, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got 4 votes in the USA Today coaches poll. You're winning every game. You're scoring more than 40 points 4 games in a row. But you're right. The schedule has been favorable. Right, I go back to Bobby's first year. It was like at Utah, at TCU, at West Virginia, and it was just every week was another game where you were a 30-point dog. And, there's been a great schedule to get started on. And what's next? I mean, this team's got live action to win the Mountain West, right?
They should at this point. You look around the league, you've got Air Force, who's good, Fresno State, who's good. And then after that, like, who does UNLV not match up with beyond that? Like, we're going to see them at Fresno 2 weeks from now. So that'll be like their first real test, especially if they go in there 6-1. That's a huge game for standings. Like, because when was the last time you had to worry about like UNLV and the Mountain West standings? But if they win this week, all of a sudden, like, you're playing Fresno State, you're trying to get the inside track to that Mountain West title game, which is just insane. But that's where we are because everything is going well. They've got one of the best offenses in the country, top 20 in points per game, number 2 nationally in rushing touchdowns, number 8 in in rushing yards per game. They're like top 15 in yards per 10. They're just the offense
they played
is great.
Fresno well last year.
They did. They to my recollection, they always match up well with Fresno.
Yes. And I think that's the encouragement. Listen, year 1 was supposed to be, can they get to 6 wins?
Yeah, it was a 5-win team. 5-win team, bringing back some decent pieces, and you're thinking established coach from the portal, augment that, get to 6. Like, that was the big goal for year 1. So,
and the cool part is if you do get that 6th win and you do get to a bowl game, now you get all these extra bonus practices. And everybody talks about how those practices are a great segue from season 1 to spring ball to season 2. And to just be with the players on the field in pads at least 7 or 8 times. If somehow you get into a game that's after Christmas, now you're talking all December, basically, you're getting to practice with your players on the field. You got to try to figure out how to balance signing day with that. But there's just so many benefits to what's going on right now. And, the end result is coming into next year, this team could be, the top. They could be, the top of the Mountain West.
They'll bring back their starting quarterback. They'll bring back both of their starting wide receivers. They're losing a couple of running backs, but their freshman Jaden Thomas is their leader in touchdowns and up there. And like they've got a lot of underclassmen at skill positions coming back. So, yeah, I mean, a good finish to this year. If they're on track to, come out of, heading into next season being a favorite in the league. And I don't even think we're getting ahead of ourselves in saying that. It's just that's how well this season has gone. I don't know. And if you're trying to look for like like you'd have to nitpick to an extreme to find something not to like about this team. Some defensive lapses here and there, deep passes can get them at inopportune times. But for the most part, it's been exactly according to plan every step of the way, which I guess is a credit to Barry Odom.
Yeah, and, I'm just...
So what do we fight about? What do we argue about?
I don't know. It's just, it's very interesting. Can I say something dumb?
Go. This is the place to do that.
Okay. So I always you go to a press conference when a coach is hired, and these coaches are masters of winning the press conference, right? They have careers of getting people in a room and inspiring them to conform their bodies to a certain way, or run through a brick wall, or to dedicate their life to football, right? And you think that every week is the most important week of your life. So they're masters of that convincing argument. But sometimes you sit there and you listen to these introductory press conferences and you're like, boy, this guy's really good. I wonder how long we're going to get to keep him for. And now I'm thinking, wow, what if UNLV wins 8 games? They go 8-4 and they win a bowl game. And next year they do the same thing, because the Mount West isn't getting any better, right? Any worse. Is Barry Odom out of here in 2 years? You know what I'm saying?
We may be getting ahead of ourselves a little bit now. With the Barry, I would say Barry Odom is like, if he's 9-3 this year at UNLV, of course that's going to be there are going to be interested programs in him, and especially if he backs it up another good year next year. The question is, how quickly does he want to leave? This is a guy who has, to throw it back to last year, like Marcus Arroyo. He's a guy who had never been a head coach, coordinator. This was his first job. For him, it's a stepping stone. He wants to get to the big time. He wants to be a Power 5 head coach.
And he basically said that.
Yeah, and
he's like, this job sucks. I'm not changing my license plates. I'm not going to even look at anybody from Vegas. This is Oregon South.
So, like, for someone like that, he gave the impression that whatever job opened up, he was going to take it. Mm-hmm. Barry Odom is a guy who has been a head coach in the Power 5. He's a head coach in the SEC. He's experienced that. We're going 6-6 one year, or one down year, got him fired. He was a pretty good coach. His track record was decent to good. And then one down year, and he was gone. And then it took him a couple years to work back to a head coaching position here. So maybe he's someone who has been through the ringer and knows that just any job is not worth jumping to, because it may not be all it's cracked up to be. You go into a bad situation, you have a bad year, you're fired again. Maybe he's a guy who will wait 2, 3, 4 years for the right job to open up. And in the meantime, stack up wins in the Mountain West, which it seems like he's very capable of doing. And, you wait and, for whatever his dream job is, or the job that can get him to his dream job. Maybe he won't just jump to South Carolina or any random school that opens up.
His dream job he got fired from.
But whatever, you know what I mean.
Right.
Whatever his end goal is, wherever he sees himself ending up.
Could it be here?
I don't know.
We're already paying him 1.7, highest paid coach in the league.
That's the other question: is how high can you get that number up to be competitive if you do want to keep him? And then the other question is, like, if he is gone after 1 year or 2 years, are you ready to just elevate your offensive coordinator to that job? You've got a guy in house, Brennan Marion. He's young. They're averaging almost 40 points a game. Like, their offense is amazing.
Yeah, I think the one thing that Barry Odom has done really well, in addition to on the field, is, like we've talked about on this show, he got a script from Eric Harper that said, here are 10 things the other guy did that I didn't like. Don't do those 10 things. And he's done a good job of not only coaching on game day or building the roster to a certain way or out-coaching inferior. This is a Power 5 coach in an inferior league, and he took an inferior Hawaii coach team and an inferior Reno coach team, and he buried them.
Mm-hmm.
Buried them. It's just like in high school football, right? I'm 120-21 picking games this year, Michael, right? You think I'm like a genius? There's strategies here involved. And one of the strategies is you pick the better coach. Well, UNLV has got the better coach. And in addition to that, the guy's just done a good job of being the face of the program.
He's very good at he's very direct. He's got a style about him. He's kind of wry. He mixes in a joke or two, but he's very serious and business oriented. That's the one thing I think that's been most impressive is that they have a plan. Like they laid out the kind of team they wanted to be before the season. They got the pieces to make it work, and now they're doing it, and they're executing it, and it's working. And even when they had to pivot very quickly, like, you know what we forget? Is that they hired Bobby Petrino to be the offensive coordinator, and he was here for a week, and then he left for another job, which is the kind of thing that could completely derail your offseason and then derail your upcoming season if you let it. But they were ready. They pivoted. They got Brennan Marion. They installed a different offense. Mm-hmm. They made it work. They're firing on all cylinders. They've got a better offense than Texas A&M right now. So, yeah.
But I would say on that, again, UNLV has got an advantage in a lot of – right now is a good time to be a Rebel, right?
Sure.
They've got the complex. They've got the stadium. I'll say that all day. I know I say that every
Just got $1 million from the Las Vegas Raiders. I just call them the Oakland Raiders.
It's okay. Mark Davis doesn't care. They're roommates at Allegiant Stadium. Yeah. But the most important thing is all this is finally coming together, right? I cannot stress to you, Michael, having a crappy Mountain West, mm-hmm. right? Now, sure, Air Force is ranked, right? Yes, Fresno is consistently good. Boise is not as great as they used to be, but Wyoming is up this year. But the bottom half of the league is so bad because we're in a day and age where you need to invest in football. You need to have a facility. You need to have your kids on campus all the time. You need to feed them every meal, right? You have to live in that complex, right? Alabama is there. Those kids wake up at 7. They're there 7 to 7, right? Well, guess what? San Jose State, right? Redoing their facilities. Hawaii, no facilities. Reno, you were just there.
No
Michael,
facilities.
Reno, it's a dog pit. It's a high school stadium.
I'm not hating on Reno, but their stadium is really bad.
Right? New Mexico, garbage. Right? Colorado State, they got it.
New stadium.
They got everything. They got a chance.
So like the way that the Power Fives and the Group of Fives are like separating haves and have-nots, even within the Group of Five and the mid majors now, you're seeing half of the Mountain West has the ability to have that stuff, and the other half doesn't. And if you're UNLV, you want to be on the half that has the great facilities and can recruit.
They got the best facilities.
So that way, if the league is going to set up that 4 of these teams are going to give you free wins every year, and 4 of these teams are going to take wins every year, you want to be on the side that's taking those free wins, which I think UNLV has done this year. So, like they 2-0 already, Correct. Could be 3-0 if they beat CSU.
So this is great. But is it a one-time occurrence? Is this going to happen year in and year out?
I think
could UNLV be San Diego State, which is a perennial team that gets 8 to 10 wins, if not more, goes to bowl games, has guys going to the league? Could they get to that tier?
Well, that's what I do agree when you said this is a good time for UNLV to get good because the Mountain West is a little bit down. So yes, if you take those free wins from the bottom feeders and you get 2, 3, 4. You can just circle them as soon as the schedule comes out, mark them down as W's. And then while Boise State is down, while San Diego State is down, you build up your program. UNLV's got a quarterback. They've got skill position guys. They've got the coaches in place. Within 2 or 3 years, they should have this up and running if everything goes well, that if Boise State does bounce back in a big way, or if San Diego State does bounce back, UNLV is ready, and they've got their best team of the Barry Odom tenure 3 years from now, 4 years from now, and they can compete at the top of the league. That's just me thinking out loud. But you're asking me big picture questions, and like I think they're like.
Well, Michael, you see things right in front of you. I see the big picture. I'm worried about 2028. You're worried about Colorado State.
You're worried about losing Barry Odom already.
I mean, guys, 5-1. It took Bobby Howe, God bless him, 4 years to win 5 games, right? I mean, it's every year 2-10, 2-10, 2-10. And I go back to when Tony became the coach. Some of the thing, like before Tony got there, kids weren't on campus in the summer, or the incoming 9th graders weren't coming till like August 13th because there was no money to house them or feed them. And they were working out in the Elite Athletic Complex, which was built when Tark was still there. It was built on Tark Final Four money with the help of the Elite Foundation, of course.
I'll tell you something that you may find surprising or controversial, hard to believe, but I think the bigger danger, I think it's more likely that they lose their offensive coordinator this season than they lose their head coach. I think Marion is fast-tracked. He'll be somewhere else after this season. He may be one and done here. And then you're going to have to find someone else to come in and either run this offense or they're going to have to pivot and find some other version or some other offense that they want to run. But I think he's obviously a fast riser. He's going to be on all these lists once the college season ends and these jobs open up. Every national writer that does their 5 guys who could fit this job, he's going to be on all of them.
Sure, and he's going to want to go be the offensive coordinator at Vanderbilt,
or he's going to be in these head coaching searches. I think he'll get his first head coaching job after this year.
Where
if he wants
at?
It. I don't know yet, but every year there's dozens of openings, and he might be the top offensive coordinator name available in this offseason.
I mean, I could see. So here, it's a real interesting dynamic in college football.
Teams love hiring hot young offensive coordinators, especially ones who have their own brand.
Yeah, but they can't pay him.
And he's got a unique.
That's the problem. Like, do you want to go be the head coach at Ball State and make $300,000, or do you want to go be the offensive coordinator at the University of Washington and make $3 million? Well, right? These coordinators are making.
That's true. That's a good point.
As much as Barry Odom was like. Barry Odom, as the DC at Arkansas, was making like 1.5.
Yeah.
So we had to give him 1.7 to get him.
That's a good point. It could be one of these big time Alabama offensive coordinator that's going to quadruple his salary. My point is that I think he's more likely to be one and done than Barry Odom. I think there's a better chance that Barry Odom is here next year with a new OC. And that's our big question heading into next offseason is what's the offense going to look like? There was the go-go for 1 year, and it was spectacular, and now they got some other guy trying to run it, or they're pivoting to a new system. So I think that's more likely to be our big offseason question than Barry Odom's job status.
Okay. Well, see, this is how good things are. Now we're worried about losing assistants.
These are good questions. These are positive questions for the program.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. The interesting thing is UNLV, not only are they 5-1, 2 of those wins are games that they would have never won before. Because when you're a losing program trying to become a winning program, that's easier said than done, right? The Vandy game where they rallied here.
Mm-hmm. Very impressive.
After losing their quarterback. And then the UTEP game are 2 games that they might not have won in past years.
That UTEP game kind of flies under the radar because they did pull away at the end, but I think twice in the fourth quarter, UTEP scored touchdowns to pull within, make it a 1-possession game. And you're getting a little squeamish and you're thinking maybe, there's no margin for error. If we don't score here, UTEP's going to tie this game up or take the lead. And both times UNLV just marched down the field and tacked on that touchdown to keep it. You never really were threatened late, but definitely in years past, that's a kind of game where they would have turned it over, or they would have gone 3 and out, or they would have played timid, or they would have done something to let UTEP back into the game. So looking back, I agree with you. Those 2 games were both very, very impressive, more impressive than the 2 Mountain West wins, I think.
Well, I mean, they were playing the little sisters of the poor. But so UNLV theoretically is going to go 6-1 on Saturday, and then do they get complacent knowing they've hit their goal of a bowl game and just, Or do they say, hey, we've got this Mountain West thing now that we've got live action on?
I think once you beat Colorado State and you're celebrating on the field, and it's a bowl, and it's also homecoming weekend. Which
are they going to be
crazy.
Celebrating on the field?
Of course they are. Like, I know that in the press conference this week, they were trying to sort of downplay it. Yes, we're excited about a bowl, but that's not our main focus. We just want to go 1-0. Every day is, that whole thing, get better every day.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cliches. But if they win the game and they get 6, they're going to be celebrating.
Are they going to be doing like
there's
the
going to be a
snow
huge deal.
angel stuff?
I don't know if they're going to be like eating oranges or Tostitos chips or rose stems.
They're going to
mouth.
the Albuquerque Bowl. It's
yeah, so I don't know if it's going to be one
of
of those celebrations, but they'll obviously be super pumped on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And it's wild that it's homecoming weekend and they could be bowl eligible. It's so early in the season. It's only homecoming and they could get 6 wins.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if at that point you shift into magical season mode where all of a sudden it's like we made a bowl. Now this is house money. This is a magical season now where we've got 5 games left. If we win 3 of them, we could be playing for the Mountain West Championship, which is something that this program I don't think has ever happened. Right?
No.
Obviously,
I'd rather, to be honest with you, I'd rather win a Mountain West title than a bowl game. Like the bowl game to me is just.
Of course, if you could win a third-rate bowl game, being 6-6, or you could win the Mountain West Championship and then lose the LA Bowl or wherever the Mountain West champ goes. Of course, you take the Mountain West Championship, and that's would be the best season that the program has ever had. And now we are so far ahead of ourselves. I cannot even see us with binoculars.
How interesting would this be? Right now, according to USA Today, UNLV is projected to play in the New Mexico Bowl December 16th.
Okay.
Which is in Albuquerque, gives them probably 8 or 9 practices. Guess who they're matched up against?
Who would that be?
New Mexico State.
New Mexico State.
Where Tony Sanchez is assistant coach. Of course, Tony Sanchez, if it wasn't for his, friendship with the Fertittas, we're not talking about this.
That was an important thing to happen for the program.
Absolutely.
In the grand scheme of things, yeah.
And the 30 for 30, he's heavily featured, right?
It wasn't a serious football program until they started spending that money and building those good. Yeah, until you start putting shovels in the ground and building these structures and all that.
Yeah,
it's
you
not
get a
serious
blueprint.
Program.
Yeah, Tony was an architect. But wouldn't that be interesting? But I just for example, Air Force, which is projected to win the league, right? They're same day, but they're going to the LA Bowl against the Pac-12 opponent. I'd rather be in the LA Bowl.
That would probably be a much more exciting matchup for fans.
Well, yeah, but you go to Albuquerque, New Mexico State will travel well. It'll be basically a road game that you should roll in, by the way. But, do you want the Albuquerque Bowl ring? Would you wear that?
Would I wear it? No, I'm not a jewelry guy. I don't wear any jewelry, but...
Okay.
As UNLV, definitely you take whatever. I don't know what the trophy is, what you get for winning the Albuquerque Bowl.
I'd rather be the Idaho Potato Bowl.
But you definitely take that trophy and you put it in the lobby of the Fertitta complex, right next to the cannon and the pineapple and everything else. Right, the trophy case is empty.
Ask me? I'm going to ask myself a question and I'm going to give an answer.
Is it about the pineapple?
Yeah.
What about it?
The way they celebrated after winning that thing, I'm like. Jesus God, it's only been, excuse my language, it's only been in the existence for 4 or 5 years. Who gives a crap?
That actually impresses me that how in such a short time they've come to embrace that trophy in that game, because neither team has been good during that span. They're really only playing for that pineapple and for the bragging rights. And both teams seem to take it very seriously, and they celebrate when they win the trophy, which I like. So yes, you put the cannon in the lobby, you put the pineapple there. Whatever bowl game you win, you put that trophy out there. If it's a sack of potatoes, or if it's a New Mexico pottery, whatever it ends up being, you celebrate it.
The New Mexico Pottery Bowl.
Yeah, well, isn't New Mexico known for pottery?
Are they?
Like handmade pottery and turquoise and turquoise jewelry.
Yeah, it's tough. we're way ahead of our skis here.
Yeah.
You know,
We've been talking for almost half an hour, so
I just want to, maybe Mark Wallington can answer the question. When was the last time UNLV football got a ring? Did they get him after they won the LV Bowl in 01?
Some kind of physical accomplishment.
Yeah, I don't think they got, if I remember correctly, I don't know if they got rings after that. I think John Robinson said we only give rings out when we win like the league here.
Do you want to see the trophy for the New Mexico Bowl? Pottery. It's a big, giant clay vase, or clay pot.
Yes.
I was right.
Yes. All right, well, things are advancing. Real quick, because, it is October and we do like basketball here and we do cover the team. Rebels, NCAA tournament Thursday. Are they playing, yes or no?
Yes, I think so. I think they've got all the pieces. Mountain West voters do not think so. Picked them 6th in the league this year. What do you think about them being picked 6th?
I thought that was Jim Brony. I think that UNLV is loaded up. They're ready to go. Interested to see how DJ Thomas performs as a true freshman. Interested to see if the Boone brother A gets cleared and the other Boone brother A avoids some kind of prison sentence.
I think he'll be on the court for all games this season.
The second Boone?
Yeah, the one Caleb Boone who picked up a DUI.
Uh-huh.
It looks like his court date is not until like February, and that's something that, as someone explained to me, might even be able to get pushed back for like after the season. So
there's no internal discipline. Could he at least get one game?
Well, Kevin Kruger said all discipline will be kept internal, which to me means that if you suspend him for a game, then it becomes external and people know about it. So if the discipline is going to be internal, that means that it's going to be not a suspension.
He's going to have to run some sprints.
He's going to have to write an essay about why it's bad to drink and drive or something like that.
All right, well, those are the standards.
Listen. Kevin Kruger has to win 25 games this year. He is not suspending one of his better players for any amount of games. He's got to win them all. So, yes, I do think the Keelan Boone, his NCAA waiver is a big story to follow. DJ Thomas, if he comes out and he's unbelievable and he's great and he's a freshman phenom, then the lid is off and they could be a Mountain West contender for sure. If he's, a normal freshman who's ups and downs and has some great games and, but he's waiting to pop next year, then that probably brings your ceiling down a little bit and you're
waiting to pop next year. Kevin Kruger isn't having it.
I know, but you know how it is with sometimes these freshmen coming in, they're 5 stars and they're good as freshmen, but they need that year to acclimate, especially for him. He's a true freshman. He's 18 years old.
Does Kevin Kruger need to make the tournament to be the head coach?
I don't think it's black and white the way that Arroyo was last year. I think
was Aurora black and white? There were some people that were shocked.
I think so. It's the way he came into the season. He lost. He was like 2-16 or something, like 2-18. Yeah, he had a pretty black and white mandate. I think Kruger, I think, has some wiggle room. It's tough if they're really close and they're trending upward. It's still tough because they're losing so many pieces after this year. They've got so many fifth-year seniors. But I can see him making a case to be kept on another year. But it would probably be some tense moments for him at the end of the year if they get knocked out in the Mountain West.
But he's not going to get fired like after Steven Zimmerman doesn't box out at like Colorado State and like Rice, right? He's not. Yeah, he's not going to get the Lane Kiffin, Dave Rice treatment.
No, there's no in-season firing because Dave Rice was put on notice before that season where he came close to losing his job and then they brought him back. Right? Am I remembering that right? Like there were rumors about him that offseason that he survived.
I can't remember exactly. All I know is they beat like 2 ranked teams that year, and then they lose to Colorado State, where literally they were a rebound away, and the guy got fired on the tarmac.
Yeah, they lost at Wyoming in a low-scoring game, I think.
Colorado State, and then they lost the next day at Wyoming.
Yeah,
but either way, it's revisionist history.
No, I don't think that's going to happen to Kevin Kruger this year. He's safe through the end of the year, and I think he's probably safe into next year, as long as the season's not a complete disaster.
I mean, having a player get arrested for DUI, in my opinion,
a bad start. That's a very bad start.
That's as disastrous as it could be. I mean, he could have killed somebody. Let's be honest. It's a major crime that's unavoidable.
It was
should
very
be severely punished.
It was very bad. And if you're the coach, you're the one who brought that guy in. yeah, you're responsible for bringing him in, and that's your guy. So, yeah, that's a really bad way to start the season. I agree. They're not getting off on the right foot between that, the DUI,
And I'm sure he
the waiver.
agrees. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure the phone call he got at night was him throwing his iPhone to the wall with some choice words.
Yeah. So you are pros. You do want to see some sort of like suspension. You want to see like
I mean, well, yeah. What? Yeah, I do. I listen. You know, suspend him for the game against, Pacific Christian Central Coast League College, or whatever it is. But I don't know. Just again, I don't know any details. Maybe the guy blew a .08 or whatever it is. Maybe, I don't know. I have no idea. But there's no details of his arrest. It wasn't like he was a 3-1 or 1 and he was running from the police or whatever the scenario may be.
So it's not the way you want to start such a crucial season. I'm sure that's weighing on Kevin Kruger right now, but they still got a couple weeks before the start of the season. If you get off to a winning streak, if they start 10-0 like they did last year, I'm sure from that point on, it's on. But yeah, I think he's probably okay.
Yeah.
Job security wise. What do you think?
I mean, I just know.
Do you like him?
I like Kevin. I like the family.
Do you like the job he's done going into year 3?
I mean, what has he done in the Mountain West tournament? How many
Not
Mountain
much.
West tournament games has he won?
I think 2.
Where has he finished in the Mountain West?
Middle of the pack.
Well, what's the standard?
That's why I posed it to you. Like, what do you think of the job?
87 New Orleans, 90 Denver, 91 Indianapolis. That's the standard. That's what you come into the program for. If Dave Rice got fired prematurely, according to me, I'm allowed to have an opinion. Marvin Menzies got fired way prematurely.
For sure.
According to me.
For sure.
Guy finished second in the league or third in the league. I mean, that's the standard. Now, Kevin, of course, the Kruger family has done a lot for UNLV basketball. Kevin was there for the greatest moment outside of the national championship game, since the national championship game, the Sweet 16 run. But, they gave the guy, a 4-year deal?
I'd have to go back and look. I thought it was a 5-year deal.
Whatever it is, I mean, with that said, you got to pay him. I mean, you got to pay him either way. He's brought in a good program, but I mean, to be rated 6th in the preseason,
it's tough. And then KenPom, I know you're not big into the analytics, but KenPom released their projections for this year based on their statistical model, and UNLV was 6th in that as well. So I think they're right in that second tier with New Mexico, Nevada, Colorado State.
Well,
I guess is in that tier as well. But
New Mexico and UNR in the same breath.
This is an official Sun podcast, and this is Sun style.
I just again, they haven't been to the tournament since 12.
Yeah.
Right?
2012-13 season.
Okay, it's time to get that fixed.
More than 10 years.
Okay. There's a lot of this. This is Las Vegas. This is UNLV. You're competing against Air Force, Wyoming, Colorado State, Fresno State, Nevada to go to the tournament. Get out of here. San Diego State, a team you were parallel on when Kruger Sr. and Bryce were the coach, went to the championship game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Come on.
No.
Right? The standard can't be Boise State. And they played nobody last year.
You know what? I was just about to say, well, what do you expect? To just jump over all those teams? It's a process. But then I look at football, and they are jumping over all those teams. They're going from middle of the pack straight to Mountain West contender.
With this roster they have this year, they should be better.
What I would say about Kevin Kruger and the staff and this team is they got basically everything they wanted in the offseason. They got all their recruits. Like, they went 4 for 4.
That's even worse for him because if he doesn't go for the tournament.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they got Boone. They got the Boones. They got Jalen Hill. They got DJ Thomas. They won all the recruiting battles. This is the exact hand-picked team that they wanted. Like, full bore, pending whether or not Keelan Boone gets his waiver to play this year. But this is the team they wanted. This is his blueprint. This is his vision. And if that doesn't work to get you to the tournament, then I don't know where you turn. I do think there's some wiggle room if they're, if they're watching on Selection Sunday and they're left out and they're one of the first 4 teams out, or, it's disappointing, but that's close enough to be like, we're moving in the right direction. I know Kruger can get us over the hump. I'm Eric Harper. I'm going to keep him on for another year. So I don't think it's automatically black and white. No tournament, you're gone. Tournament.
Has Eric Harper got the final say? Or does the boosters have the final say? Did TKM fire Dave Rice, or did the boosters fire Dave Rice?
It's even more complicated now with the NLI or NIL, where people players are being paid directly, including the UNLV basketball team, where you have several high-paid players, where it's basically a pro team. The starters are basically professional basketball players, which makes it a little more complicated in the off season. But yeah, I think that if you ask me for my prediction now, I think they'll be close enough to contention, if not in the NCAA tournament. I think Kevin Kruger will be back next year.
Okay, and I'm not saying I don't think he should be back, but I'm just saying the standards have been inconsistent. And somewhere along the way, as a graduate of the university, I would like to watch them on television in the NCAA tournament before I get old.
I can tell if you want to know why the standards have been different. I can tell you it's because it's a poorly run athletic department. The people who were running it before, it was poorly run. It was slipshod. There were too many voices. There were people who had power that should not have had power. That's the stuff you're trying to clean up. I think Desiree Reed-Francois, say what you will about her football hire. I think she did a good job in at least getting the athletic office to a point where it's run the way that it should be run. And I think Eric Harper is sort of an extension of that. So it's not as bad as it was.
Harper's the man.
So you'll start seeing standards applied equally.
Okay. All right. All I want to do is listen, there's no reason that UNLV, in the greatest city in America, with the most notable block of real estate, the Las Vegas Strip, with a $2 billion football stadium, with the Thomas and Mack Arena, with the NBA Summer League, with the basketball complex, should be settling for no bowl appearances and not even a sniff of the CBI tournament. You should be in that NCAA tournament every year, and you should be in a bowl game every year. Barry Odom is the most expensive coach in the Mountain West. He has to go to a bowl. That is the standard. It's not the build to the standard. We gave him $1.75 million to go to a bowl game, not to build a team that could potentially threaten to finish third in the league to go to a bowl game. Kevin Kruger is coaching UNLV, Jerry Tarkanian's program, Larry Johnson, national championship. He is not paid to be projected to be finished 6th behind Fresno State. Okay? This is UNLV, the greatest city in the Mountain West. You've got Jalen Hill. You paid him 6 figures to come here. You've got the Boone brothers. DJ Thomas makes more than you and me combined times 3 to dribble the ball up the court. Get to the tournament. Get to the playing game. Let's go.
Yeah, that's. I agree. That's with the team they put together. It should be NCAA tournament team. When March Madness comes, it should be the men and the women holding a joint Selection Sunday watch party to find out where they're both going to play because they're both locks to make the tournament. I agree with you. I just wonder.
Sorry to get so excited, but it's like, do you wake up every day saying, I hope we're average?
No, I was just saying, I think that the NCAA tournament definitely is the goal. I was just saying, I think there's a scenario where he survives, even if they don't make the tournament, which you may not agree with, but I do think that there is a path where if they're close and they're looking promising, he maybe gets another year, which I think would happen.
And I'm not against that. He's damn earned it because this is the other thing. Kevin Kruger is one of us. He's not an outsider. He loves this program. Just like Dave Rice.
He is well liked.
That's why they did Dave Rice dirty. Dude was on the national championship team. He was selling out the freaking arena every day. Kevin Kruger, Sweet 16. He's our guy. He beat Wisconsin in the round of 32. He came here. He was the first transfer. That's all I got.
Okay.
I mean, because he's one of us, he should get another year. But I mean, could you got to? I mean, they paid out fucking $600,000 in NIL money to be rated sixth in the league behind Fresno.
I think
what are the potato growers and garlic farmers of the Central Valley recruiting better players to Fresno State?
I think we got too far ahead of ourselves with basketball, negatively, the way they did with football, where we already have them in the Mountain West title game in the LA Bowl. Basketball, let's see. Let's give them a little chance to run out and get on the court a little bit. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be really good.
They cannot play in the Wednesday playing game of the Mountain West tournament. They need to be firmly entrenched, top 3 team. Let's go.
That gets them to the NCAA tournament. That gives you 3 postseason teams in your 3 main sports at UNLV. It's a banner year for the university in that scenario. So, yeah, I think everyone would sign up for that right now.
All right. For Mike, I'm Ray. This is a Rebel Room Las Vegas Sun podcast.